Good morning, girls. Happy Wednesday. Sorry, I'm late. I'm trying to get earlier. I'm trying to get back to earlier, but sometimes certain creatures in this house are psychopaths, and we have to wait for them to take a chill pill or give them a chill pill because she was terrorizing me this morning, and I had to wait a few minutes before she finally laid down, which she did. So, cheers to Wednesday. What happened to the chat? Messed that up. There we go. Joe goes home from the hospital. They think insurance. What? What is wrong with insurance companies? Oh, Melissa. Poor baby. All right, we're on January 14th. Joseph's dreams. Genesis 37, 1 through 17. So Jacob settled again in the land of Canaan, where his father had lived as a foreigner. This is the account of Jacob and his family. When Joseph was 17 years old, he often tended his father's flocks. He worked for his half-brothers, the sons of his father's wives, Bilhah and Zilpah. But Joseph reported to his father some of the bad things that his brothers were doing. Jacob loved Joseph more than any of his other children because Joseph had been born to him in his old age. So one day Jacob had a special gift made for Joseph, a beautiful robe. But his brothers hated Joseph because their father loved him more than the rest of them. They couldn't say a kind word to him. One night Joseph had a dream, and when he told his brothers about it, they hated him more than ever. Listen to this dream, he said. We were out in the field, tying up bundles of grain. Suddenly my bundle stood up, and your bundles all gathered around and bowed low before mine. His brothers responded, So you think you will be our king, do you? Do you actually think you will reign over us? And they hated him all the more because of his dreams and the way he talked about them. Soon Joseph had another dream, and again he told his brothers about it. Listen, I have had another dream, he said. The sun, moon, and 11 stars bowed low before me. This time he told the dream to his father as well as to his brothers, but his father scolded him. What kind of dream is that? He asked. Will your mother and I and your brothers actually come and bow to the ground before you? But while his brothers were jealous of Joseph, his father wondered what the dreams meant. Soon after this, Joseph's brothers went to pasture their father's flocks at Shechem. When they had been gone for some time, Jacob said to Joseph, Your brothers are pasturing the sheep at Shechem. Get ready, and I will send you to them. I'm ready to go, Joseph replied. Go and see how your brothers and flocks are getting along. Jacob said, Then come back and bring me a report. So Jacob sent him on his way, and Joseph traveled to Shechem from their home in the valley of Hebron. When he arrived there, a man from the area noticed him wandering the countryside. What are you looking for? He asked. I'm looking for my brothers, Joseph replied. Do you know where they are pasturing their sheep? Yes, the man told him. They have moved on from here, but I heard them say, Let's go to Dothan. So Joseph followed his brothers to Dothan and found them there. Joseph sold into slavery, Genesis 37, 8 through 36. When Joseph's brothers saw him coming, they recognized him in the distance. As he approached, they made plans to kill him. Here comes the dreamer, they said. Come on, let's kill him and throw him into one of these cisterns. We can tell our father a wild animal has eaten him. Then we will see what becomes of his dreams. But when Reuben heard of their scheme, he came to Joseph's rescue. Let's not kill him, he said. Why should we shed any blood? Let's just throw him into this empty cistern here in the wilderness. Then he'll die without our laying any hand on him. Reuben was secretly planning to rescue Joseph and return him to his father. So when Joseph arrived, his brothers ripped off the beautiful robe he was wearing. Then they grabbed him and threw him in the cistern. Now the cistern was empty. There was no water in it. Then, just as they were sitting down to eat, they looked up and saw a caravan of camels coming in the distance toward them. It was a group of Ishmaelite traders taking a load of gum, balm, and aromatic resin from Gilead down to Egypt. Judah said to his brothers, What will we gain by killing our brother? We'd have to cover up the crime. Instead of hurting him, let's sell him to the Ishmaelite traders. After all, he is our brother, our own flesh and blood. And his brothers agreed. So when the Ishmaelites, who were the Midianite traders, came by, Joseph's brothers pulled him out of the cistern and sold him to them for 20 pieces of silver. And the traders took him to Egypt. Some time later, Reuben returned to get Joseph out of the cistern. When he discovered that Joseph was missing, he tore his clothes in grief. Then he went back to his brothers and lamented, "The boy is gone. What will I do now?" Then the brothers killed a young goat and dipped Joseph's robe in its blood. They sent the beautiful robe to their father with this message: "Look at what we found. Doesn't this robe belong to your son?" Their father recognized it immediately. "Yes," he said, "it's my son's robe, and a wild animal must have eaten him. Joseph has clearly been torn to pieces." Then Jacob tore his clothes and dressed himself in burlap. He mourned deeply for his son for a long time. His family all tried to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. "I will go to my grave mourning for my son," he said, and then he would weep. Meanwhile, the Midianite traders arrived in Egypt, where they sold Joseph to Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. Potiphar was captain of the palace guard. Judah and Tamar. Genesis 38, 1 through 30. About this time, Judah left home and moved to Adullam, where he stayed with a man named Hira. There he saw a Canaanite woman, the daughter of Shua, and he married her. When he slept with her, she became pregnant and gave birth to a son, and he named the boy So creative. Then she became pregnant again and gave birth to another son, and she named him Onan. When she gave birth to a third son, she named him Shelah. At this time of Shelah's birth, they were living in Kizib. In the course of the time, Judah arranged for his firstborn son, to marry a young woman named Tamar. But was a wicked man in the Lord's sight, so the Lord took his life. Then Judah said to brother of Onan, "Go and marry Tamar, as our law requires of the brother of a man who has died. You must produce an heir for your brother." But Onan was not willing to have a child who would not be his own heir. So whenever he had intercourse with his brother's wife, he spilled the semen on the ground. This prevented her from having a child who would belong to his brother. But the Lord considered it evil for Onan to deny a child to his dead brother. So the Lord took Onan's life too. Then Judah said to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, "Go back to your parents' home and remarry a widow until my son Shelah is old enough to marry you." But Judah didn't really intend to do this because he was afraid of Shelah, Shelah would also die like his two brothers. So Tamar went back to live in her father's home. Some years later, Judah's wife died. After the time of mourning was over, Judah and his friend Hira the Adullamite went up to Timnah to supervise the shearing of his sheep. Someone told Tamar, "Look, your father-in-law is going up to Timnah to shear his sheep." Tamar was aware that Shelah had grown up, but no arrangement had been made for her to come and marry him. So she changed out of her widow's clothing and covered herself with a veil to disguise herself. Then she sat beside the road at the entrance of the village to Enaim, which is the road to Timnah. Judah noticed her and thought she was a prostitute since she had covered her hair. So he stopped and propositioned her. "Let me have sex with you," he said, not realizing that she was his own daughter-in-law. "How much will you pay to have sex with me?" Tamar asked. I will send you a young goat from my flock," Judah promised. "But what will you give me to guarantee that you will send the goat?" she asked. "What kind of guarantee do you want? It's better than a goat." She answered, "Leave me your identification seal and its cord and the walking stick you are carrying." So Judah gave them to her. Then he had intercourse with her, and she became pregnant. Afterward, she went back home, took off her veil, and put on her widow's clothing as usual. Later, Judah asked his friend Hira the Adullamite to take the young goat to the woman and to pick up the things he had given her as a guarantee. But Hira couldn't find her. So he asked the men who lived there, "Where can I find the shrine prostitute who was sitting beside the road at the entrance to Enaim?" "We've never had a shrine prostitute here," they replied. So Hira returned to Judah and told him, "I couldn't find her anywhere, and the men of the village claim they've never had a shrine prostitute there." "Then let her keep the things I gave her," Judah said. "I sent the young goat as we agreed, but you couldn't find her. We'd be the laughingstock of the village if we went back to look for her." About 3 months later, Judah was told, "Tamar, your daughter-in-law, has acted like a prostitute, and now, because of this, she is pregnant. Bring her out, let her be burned," Judah demanded. But as they were taking her out to kill her, she sent this message to her father-in-law: "The man who owns these things made me pregnant. Look closely. Whose seal and cord and walking stick are these? Judah recognized them immediately and said, She is more righteous than I am, because I didn't arrange for her to marry my son Shelah. And Judah never slept with Tamar again. When the time came for Tamar to give birth, it was discovered that she was carrying twins. While she was in labor, one of the babies reached out his hand. The midwife grabbed it and tied a scarlet string around the child's wrist, announcing, This one came out first. But when he pulled back his hand, out came his brother. What? The midwife exclaimed. How did you break out first? So he was named Perez. Then the baby with the scarlet string on his wrist was born, and he was named Zerah. The descendants of Judah, 1 Chronicles 2, 3 through 6. Judah had 3 sons from Bathshua, a Canaanite woman. Their names were Onan, and Shelah. But the Lord saw that the oldest son, was a wicked man, so he killed him. Later, Judah had twins from Tamar. He widowed that's my main accent coming out. So he widowed his daughter-in-law. Their names were Perez and Zerah. So Judah had 5 sons in all. The sons of Perez were Hezron and Hamuel. The sons of Zerah were Zimri, Ethan, Heman, Kelkol, and Darda, 5 in all. The 1 Chronicles 2:8. The sons of Ethan was Azariah. Joseph in Potiphar's house, Genesis 39, 1 through 18. When Joseph was taken to Egypt by the Ishmaelite traders, he was purchased by Potiphar, an Egyptian officer. Potiphar was the captain of the guard for Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. The Lord was with Joseph, so he succeeded in everything he did as he served in the home of his Egyptian master. Potiphar noticed this and realized that the Lord was with Joseph, giving him success in everything he did. This pleased Potiphar, so he soon made Joseph his personal attendant. He put him in charge of his entire household and everything he owned. From the day Joseph was put in charge of his master's household and property, the Lord began to bless Potiphar's household for Joseph's sake. All his household affairs ran smoothly, and his crops and livestock flourished. So Potiphar gave Joseph complete administrative responsibility over everything he owned. With Joseph there, he didn't worry about a thing, except what kind of food to eat. Joseph was a very handsome and well-built young man, and Potiphar's wife soon began to look at him lustfully. Come and sleep with me, she demanded, but Joseph refused. Look, he told her, my master trusts me with everything in his entire household. No one here has more authority than I do. He has held nothing back from me except you, because you are his wife. How could I do such a wicked thing? It would be a great sin against God. So she kept putting pressure on Joseph day after day, but he refused to sleep with her, and he kept out of her way as much as possible. One day, however, no one else was around when he went in to do his work. She came and grabbed him by his cloak, demanding, Come on, sleep with me. Joseph tore himself away, but he left his cloak in her hands as he ran from the house. When she saw she was holding his cloak and he had fled, she called out to her servants. Soon all the men came running. Look, she said, my husband has brought this Hebrew slave here to make fools of us. He came into my room to rape me, but I screamed. When he heard me scream, he ran outside and got away, but he left his cloak behind with me. So she kept the cloak with her until her husband came home. Then she told him her story. That Hebrew slave you brought into our house tried to come in and fool around with me, she said, but when I screamed, he ran outside, leaving his cloak with me. Joseph put in prison, Genesis 39, 19 through 23. Potiphar was furious when he heard his wife's story about how Joseph had treated her. So he took Joseph and threw him into prison where the king's prisoners were held, and there he remained. But the Lord was with Joseph in the prison and showed him his faithful love. And the Lord made Joseph a favorite with the prison warden. Before long, the warden put Joseph in charge of all the other prisoners and over everything that had happened in prison. The warden had no more worries because Joseph took care of everything. The Lord was with him and caused everything he did to succeed. That was a little saucy this morning. Some sauciness and some naughty women doing naughty things. All right. We're on page 135 of our book. We don't need your tent here. I don't need a tent anywhere. I hate tents. If you haven't figured that out yet, I ain't no tenting girl. All right, Jesus' disciples were classic how and what type guys. They often missed the why, and it seemed to grieve Jesus. The what was their mission, the undeniably important task they'd been given of making other disciples and bringing the kingdom of heaven to earth. The how ranged from healing people to preaching to providing food and even utilizing prayer. The why was because he is worthy of worship. Why? Because he is the Son of God. Why? Because he loves us and brings us to his Father. I like to picture Jesus' frustration when I read about them getting it wrong and picture what kind of face he made. In Matthew 16, when Jesus calls Peter Satan, I'm guessing the annoyance level was through the roof, like maybe a 12 out of 10. I can imagine Jesus taking a deep breath and looking heavenward when, in Matthew 18, the disciples start arguing about who will be honored most in heaven. I'm guessing 9.3 out of 10 for that time. Can you imagine him? Deep breath in, deep breath out, silently looking up to heaven and praying, Dad, for real with these guys? When he most likely felt like screaming at them, Jesus motions for a child to join them while he calmly preaches about humility and the kingdom of heaven. But between these two frustrating moments, there's another that's wildly fascinating to me: the Mount of Transfiguration. Jesus is in the thick of his earthly ministry. He is healing people, he is teaching a lot, he has already predicted his death. He's traveling with these 12 appointed disciples and a host of others who have latched onto him. He occasionally breaks away with one or a few of the disciples to teach them something specific and poignant. He has one on one interactions with people that are recorded because they're meaningful for all of us. And then in Matthew 17, he invites Peter, James, and John to go up on a mountain with him. We can guess from their recorded location that it was Mount Tabor in Israel. There, on the mountain, Jesus allows his disciples to see him transformed into a version of himself more full of glory than they'd previously seen. His face shone and his clothes became as white as light. They got a special glimpse of the glory of God through their friend, Jesus, that no one else had ever seen. But there was more. Not only did they see Jesus in all his holy splendor, but Elijah and Moses were also there before them. Two saints who'd been dead for hundreds of years, heroes to the disciples, appeared before them. Can you pause right now and imagine how you'd respond if you saw Jesus in all his glory, flanked by two long dead heroes of the faith? Would you fall down and worship? Grab a camera? Start asking questions? Peter had another idea. Peter said to Jesus, Lord, it is good for us to be here. If you wish, I'll put up 3 shelters, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah. While he was still speaking, a bright cloud covered them. A voice from the cloud said, This is my son, whom I love. With him I am well pleased. Listen to him. When the disciples heard this, they fell face down to the ground, terrified. But Jesus came and touched them. Get up, he said. Don't be afraid. When they looked up, they saw no one except Jesus. Matthew 17, 4 through 8. We'll come back to Peter's suggestion about building tents in a moment, and actually, I'm going to stop right there. We'll read that tomorrow. Seems like the right stopping place. All right, let's scroll back so I can see all the chat. I still can't believe they denied rehab. Like, what do you have to do to get rehab? Lose both legs? Like, you lose a leg and it's not enough for rehab? Like, what on earth? For sure, Susan. For sure. I'm sure that is so tough. Susan, that's exciting that you're having your eyelids fixed. I've watched that surgery on YouTube and I thought it was fascinating. That's going to be so good for you. Like, I know people that have that and need that removed, and how much better you'll be able to, like, just, it will be so much more comfortable for you. Isn't it crazy, Cindy? Oh, we're so glad you're here, Karen. I don't know, Lois. Why doesn't the Bible give Potiphar's wife's name? I don't know. She's a hussy, so they didn't want to name her. She's a naughty girl. That's a good point, Cindy. How did they know it was Moses and Elijah? That's a good point. Maybe somebody had done like a rock carving of their faces and they recognized it. Maybe they had been on a milk carton at some point. That is interesting. How did they know? Maybe they were wearing name tags. Maybe. All right. So I just want to make sure I don't miss anybody's prayer requests. Here it is. That's funny. Are you wearing a heated vest? Is that why you're sweating? All right. Let's go ahead and pray. And I know I'm going to miss a prayer request or two. Just bear with me. God, our Father, thank you for meeting us here today. Thank you for the reading of your word. Thank you for continued learning and drawing closer to you. And the stories that we read hold information that you want for us. I know that deep in my heart. And thank you that we are able to sit and read them again together and learn more and ask more questions and just dive into your word, God. It's such an honor and a blessing to be able to do so. God, I know there are so many prayer requests here and lots going on in the lives of these women, and I'm sure that I will miss some. But God, we lift up our sweet friend Karen to you today after the loss of her sister and the grief that comes with that and the pain and difficulty she's walking through right now after losing her sister. And we just lift her up to you and ask for you to hold her tight today and just comfort her and surround her with peace and just the peace that passes understanding is the only thing that will comfort Karen right now. And God, we just lift her up to you. God, we continue to pray for Ryan, Susan's grandson. And I know we've talked about him before and the difficulty that he goes through. And um, I just know how difficult it is to go through those types of issues with your kid and how painful it is to watch them go through that. And we just ask for strength, provision, for clarity, for wisdom, for the family and for doctors, and just ask for your strength for them and lift him up to you. He is your child and loved by you, and just ask for your wisdom in that situation. God, we also continue to ask for prayer for our friend Joe as he goes through this difficult time and now rehab at home. We just ask for strength for him and for the best of services for him at home as he has physical therapy and occupational therapy. And we just ask for your strength for him during this difficult time. And thank you that Joe's surgery is behind him and that he can now have some relief of pain after such a difficult time. We just ask for continued healing for our friend Joe. We also ask for healing and strength for our friend Susan as she goes through surgery. We ask for peace for her and calming of nerves and just quick healing. And thank you that she has the opportunity to have the surgery. We ask for wisdom for the doctors and just ask for your healing and peace for her. God, I know there are some that I missed, and I just ask for your blessings and provision and strength for each and every one. God, you are the one who knows all, and I just lift each and every request up to you. God, help us today to honor you with everything that we say and do. In your precious name, amen. All right, my friends. Still waiting for answers on Shayna. My goodness. Why does it take so long? Why does it take so long? It's 2025. Is it just me, or do we think we should have answers in healthcare so much faster? I don't know. All right, girls. Well, I'm headed to the gym this morning to lift and work on muscles. Y'all, I have something exciting to share this morning. I'm going to make a post this morning, but I am so beyond shocked and giddy to say that I got on the scale this morning and I have surpassed my goal. My goal was 150 and I was at 148.8 this morning. I'm in the 140s. I'm flabbergasted. Did I say something about 2025? What did I say? Oh, I did. I said 2025 in my about healthcare. Yeah, sorry. I'm behind a year. That's all right. I'm still catching up. Give me some grace until February 1st. We can all say the wrong year until then. I have the wrong date on the devotions too. So you're welcome. 148.8, you guys. Do you know how happy that makes me? It's not that number is I'm not worshiping a number. I'm just very excited to break through a goal. I know, Meredith. I was down. I had the whoosh. I felt the whoosh yesterday. I knew a whoosh was coming. You know, when you have that moment of like just you know when you have those days where you just feel like things have left your body. That's what I feel like yesterday I was like, I feel light today, and then I got on the scale and I was down 5 pounds from yesterday. 148.8. So giddy, I can't even believe it. 1933, I think, days since I started to hit my goal. So, all right, girls, I love you so much. I hope you have a fabulous day. I got to go, headed off to the gym, and I will see you all back tomorrow for devotions. I love you guys so much. Have a great day.